What a beautiful day it is here in the capital of Canada, Ottawa, Ontario, as Louisville City FC comes in to face off against Ottawa Fury FC down at TD Place. Gord Smith alongside myself, Tyler McDonald. Thank you so much for joining us here. And what is Dog Day at the pitch? Hopefully not a dog of a game, as you were saying earlier.
Not, no.
Very tough matchup coming in for Ottawa Fury FC. Louisville currently sitting in the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. Ilya Illich, a player to watch out for, 3 game-winning goals so far this season. Yeah,
and obviously any time he's in the attacking third, he's going to have to be marked very, very tightly. You cannot allow him time and space in that attacking zone.
2 penalties, of course, as well, so dangerous from the spot. Have to watch out. Make sure you're disciplined in the 18 area for the Ottawa Fury FC. It's Kevin Oliveira. He's been playing out unbelievable so far in this first half.
Yeah, I think he's had a terrific season for the Ottawa Fury. He does that link-up play between the midfield 3 and the attacking 3. Outstanding player. Chipped in with a goal, a second goal last weekend, and he set up the first goal, the real important one for Tony Taylor, with an assist by Jimmy Shawn. But Oliveira certainly a player to watch out for this afternoon for the Fury.
For the fans and for the Dogs' sake, hopefully we see goals galore here today at TD Place. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Gord Smith will be on the call with Graham Ivory. This is Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
Did you know the Brick is 100% proudly Canadian? We employ over 5,000 Canadians, and nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. Saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Gabriel Pizza, proud supporter of local sports. Gabriel Pizza, home of the bigger, better pizza. 310-7777 or GabrielPizza.com.
What do you live for? Is it for your crew? For overcoming obstacles? Live for what you want. So what do you live for?
Hey, Impreza. What's new?
Well, I've got this available reverse automatic braking feature.
Oh.
When I reverse, I can automatically brake if I'm about to hit something.
All I do is beep.
Subaru
Beep.
Impreza.
Beep. Ouch.
Welcome back inside TD Place as Ottawa Fury set to battle with Louisville City FC as they continue their push towards the USL playoffs. And this is a big one for them here this afternoon, Gordy, because this is a team that is currently sitting in a home playoff position, being top 4 in the USL table. So massive 3 points up for grabs for both sides. Let's have a look at how these two sides will line up, starting with the visitors, Louisville City FC, and our starting 11 brought to you by Gabriel Pizza, Ottawa's bigger, better pizza. Gregory Ratchetsing, who claimed the 1-0 victory over Nikola Popovic's Swope Park Rangers last year in the USL final, gets the start. Oscar Jimenez, Paco Craig, Alex Suwali across the back 3. George Davis, the 4th. Paulo Del Piccolo, Devin Williams, Kyle Smith across the midfield, Magnus Rasmussen, Brian Ownby, and Ilya Illich, the 3 up top. Interesting to note, George Davis, the 4th, and Paulo Del Piccolo, along with Luke Spencer, the 3 player coaches in the squad for Louisville City FC. We'll talk a little bit more about that after once we get into the match a bit. Starting in goal for Ottawa Fury FC, he's tied for the league lead in clean sheets with 9, and that's Maxime Crépeau. Onwell Bassi, Sergio Minicio inserted into Ottawa's back 4 this afternoon. Nana Adakora and Eddie Edward. Kevin Oliveira, Christian Portilla, and Jamar Dixon will wear the cap captain's armband across the midfield. Daniel Haber gets the start up front. In on the left side of Steven DeSantos, Tony Taylor on the right-hand side of DeSantos here this afternoon. And, of course, Taylor in a good zone right now after performances against Penn FC, against Nashville SC last weekend as well. So Tony Taylor in that right spot that Nikola Popovic wants to have him in right now. But the big thing for Ottawa, they need to get that scoring going. And now's the time to do it. For their next 5 coming at home, big points up for grabs for Ottawa, and it'll start here this afternoon against Louisville City.
And a pretty consistent and settled lineup for the Ottawa Fury. The only one, as we said, Thomas Miergiger out of the starting lineup. He's not even in the 18 game, so probably just rested here for this afternoon after his exploits over the last few months. He has played a lot of football, certainly alongside Nana Takora in the heart of the Fury defence. So it is going to be crucial this afternoon. Certainly a good start for the Ottawa Fury. They waited till the death at the last game. They were able to get a couple of goals and put it out of reach against Nashville. But it's all about here this afternoon now, and how can you bounce back from that 3-0 loss down in Toronto on Wednesday.
Minicio with the first clearing attempt here, falls to the feet of Dixon, can't hit it cleanly. As Louisville pressuring early. Ownby chasing that one down. Eddie Edward first to it. Clears it up the right side. Tony Taylor battles for it against Smith, and that one knocked into touch for an Ottawa throw inside the opening minute. Should mention our subs here this afternoon for Louisville City. Tim Dabrowski, the backup goalkeeper, alongside another backup keeper, and Chris Hubbard. Sean Tosh, Pat McMahon, the 2 defenders on the bench. Niall McCabe, the Irishman, and Cameron Lancaster, the Englishman, also the leading scorer for Louisville City. 9 goals on the season. He's a product of the Tottenham Hotspur Youth Academy, spent 2009 through 2014 there, so they have themselves, of course, naturally.
I knew you'd have to get that.
They have themselves a player in Lancaster, but it's Ottawa pressuring here. Cross delivered in from Haber, was blocked and cleared back out to the midfield.
And Lancaster of course scored the winning goal in the USL Cup final last year against Swope Park Rangers with Nikola Popovic on the receiving end of an 88th minute header that gave them the title. So a little bit of revenge factor here possibly this afternoon, but I'm sure he knows that it's all about the 11 players inside those white lines, Graham, that have to get the job done for him here today.
Subs for Fury FC this afternoon: David Monsalve, the backup goalkeeper. Defenders Jeremy Gagnon-Lapare and Monty Mosen. In the midfield, Chris Manella, and 3 forwards, Gabriel Balbinotti, Jimmy Sanon, and Adonijah Reed. All 7 subs carrying a Canadian passport, 5 in Ottawa's starting 11 here this afternoon.
Well, no surprise there, Graham. We know that it's part of being the project all season here in Ottawa with regards to giving Canadian players a chance. Julian de Guzman bringing as many players, some of them international players, into the fold here in 2018, and so far you have to say that things are starting to turn around here for them heading into the second half of the season.
Fabrizio Stasula is the head official here this afternoon. First game we've seen him officiate here at TD Place. Philippe Betesquesi and Andre Pickler are the linesmen. Pierre-Luc Lozier, the 4th official here this afternoon. Nana Atakora, who had a fantastic game for Ottawa Wednesday night against his former club, Toronto FC, in that 3-0 loss that they handed Ottawa to eliminate them from the Canadian Championship in the semi-final round on a 4-0 aggregate score.
It was always going to be an uphill battle for them on Wednesday too, Graham, wasn't it? You lose that away goal in the 1-0 loss the week before, and it was always going to be a really big ask to head into the Lions' den, so to speak, and pull off a result. But hang your head in shame. You got a fairly decent return from some of these players on the night, and unfortunately for the Fury, just a little bit too short.
Well, and defender Jeremy Gagnon-Lapare making his Fury debut for the season, and I think a pretty impressive performance over the course of the match for Gagnon-Lapare. Cleared one off the line, which following a skirmish did end up in the back of the net, but I think Nikola Popovic had to be pleased with the performance from Gagnon Lapare, who is available as a substitute here this afternoon, as Tony Taylor tries to bring that one down, gets a knock in the head. He goes to turf, but Daniel Haber continues on down the left. Haber looking for support. He's tripped up, and a free kick coming here for Ottawa on the edge of the 18-yard box to the right of Greg Ratchetsing.
Well, a really good opportunity for the Fury here. The first set play in and around the 18-yard box. Let's take a quick look, Graham, at the keys to the game for the Ottawa Fury here this afternoon. Key number one, they've got to keep their shape defensively. Louisville has hit the back of the net 10 times in the last 4 games. The Fury cannot afford to be pulled out of position, creating pockets of space inside the defensive zone. Key number two, they've got to maintain their focus. They've got to stay focused on all 3/3 of the park, from front to the back. No lapse in concentration. This Louisville team will punish you. And key number three, you've got to attack in numbers. Midfield must provide support to the front three as often as possible. Flood the opposition penalty box when that opportunity arises. Much similar to what we saw the first goal last weekend. Oliveira playing a lovely ball into Jimmy Sanon. One touch, second touch was knocked back for a shot on target and in the back of the net.
And Oliveira settles behind this set piece now for Fury FC to the right of Greg Ratchetsing. 2 men in the wall. Oliveira has a goal right on target. And Ratchetsing easy to collect that one. Had to be a bit tighter to the near post to beat Ratchetsing there, who bobbled it off the first touch, but able to hang on and now distribute out as Louisville looks to counter inside the Ottawa half. Locked down by Christian Portilla, back into the midfield. Foul called there, and that one will now give Louisville a set-piece opportunity of their own from about 35 yards out.
That whistle came a wee bit late there, Graham. I think the referee was just trying to see if play was allowed to proceed with a white shirt in possession, but when it broke down, the referee called it back, and this is a decent opportunity. It's a fair distance beating a goalkeeper like Crépeau's quality, Graham, but you can get a chance to put your foot through a ball from 30 some odd yards. It's got a chance to fly in into the back of the net anywhere.
Floated into the penalty area, and Crépeau out to challenge as no one in white was able to get a touch on it for Louisville. Something right off the practice pitch there, but they couldn't string it together.
It was very, very close. It was inches away from getting his foot on that ball. He pulled it back at the last second. I think Fury were a little bit too slow to react to that, Graham. They were all expecting the shot to be going on goal, and unfortunately for Louisville, nothing came off inside that 18-yard box.
Steven DeSantos brought down on that last challenge by Oscar Jimenez. Ottawa will take over inside the Louisville half.
Well, Louisville comes in here, Graham, 7 points in their last 5 games, 7 out of 15. The Ottawa Fury having 9 points out of 15. So we've seen the Fury push themselves slowly but surely up the table. They broke that win-loss sort of scenario last weekend when they were able to pull off the win against Nashville. So lots to play here this afternoon. A third USL win on the trot would really push them up the table.
Delivered in by Eddie Edward. Up for the header was DeSantos. Wins it on the second effort. Now Tony Taylor to give chase. Brought down inside the Louisville half by Christian Portilla. Over to Eddie Edward. Tried to go back down to Cora. Had to be quick there, and he gets a hard foul there from Magnus Rasmussen.
That was a suicide ball there, wasn't it, though, from Eddie Edward? He had to make sure it got there and gave the big stopper a little bit more time than he did. Fair play to Atacora. He didn't pull out of the challenge whatsoever, but my goodness, that could be a sore knee there for a while. It looks like he got it just below the knee. He's up on his feet, so fair play to him, but I'm sure he'll just have a little chat with Eddie, say, hey mate, come on, just a little bit heavier next time, please.
No card on the play to Rasmussen. Portilla hits it firmly back to Maxime Crépeau. Now Sergio Minicio. Has a look down that left side. That one a bit too heavy for Daniel Haber to track over to get to it. Into touch for a Louisville throw. 10th minute. Remains 0-0 between Ottawa and Louisville.
And I think one thing we still need to see a little bit more of, it's certainly early doors here as far as the game goes, but we need to get Eddie Edward, we need to get Obasi down this left-hand side a little bit more activated, release a bit earlier if they can, Graham, get into midfield and support the three lads in the middle who are playing a fairly compact three. Portilla just sitting behind Dixon and Oliveira. And then you get the three lads up front. So if Edward and Obasi are able to get in and provide that support down the flanks, it could be a good road to success here for the Fury this afternoon.
Well, and even though they're back in action again here Friday night at TD Place against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, I'm sure they're going to be very excited to actually have a week of not having to play. So I'm sure a couple days of rest and well-deserved rest in there for these players.
And I think to even expand on that, Graham, it's not even just a case of having played a lot of games. You're playing games in weather that just is not conducive to playing good football. Sometimes it's been as warm as 35, 36 degrees here. And these lads, some of these lads are out there running around for 90 minutes. So it certainly zaps your energy. It takes a lot of strength out of you. And full play to them. The majority of them back out here in the starting lineup tonight.
Rasmussen gets a touch on it, plays it out to the left to Ombi. Knocked down by Adakora. Ombi will let that one bounce into touch. Quickly takes the throw. Almost dispossessed, but Louisville still in possession inside the Ottawa half. Kyle Smith. Smith again, closed down by Haber, intercepted by Obasi. Surveys his option, cuts inside on Smith, plays it back to Minicio. Headed down by Oliveira. That one out of the reach of Haber. That forces Swahi all the way back to Ranjit Singh. Born in Canada, but has played for Trinidad and Tobago internationally.
Well, that's not a very popular choice up here, is it? We don't like to see that.
Swally, his pass intercepted. Tony Taylor has some room to run down the right side. Taylor, touch, bit too heavy, gets in front of him. Jamar Dixon in, unable to get there, and now Louisville will look to counter. Played in behind Eddie Edward to Brian Ownby. Ownby. And Edward there to clear that one into touch for the first corner of the match here in the 13th minute.
Well, it was a decent break there by Taylor on that right side, but unfortunately just the final touch, as you mentioned, Graham, took it a little bit too close to the defender, got cleared away. The Fury now have work to do on the defensive end after that counter-attack brings about a corner off of Eddie Edward.
Oscar Jimenez to take the set piece for Louisville. There's this one into the top of the six, there's a header, and it's 1-0. Paulo Del Piccolo, the captain, his second goal of the season, has opened the scoring here in the 13th minute.
Well, not the best of coverage inside that 18-yard box, Graham. I'm not quite sure who it was who got beat at right around the penalty spot here. I think it was Minicio. Unfortunately, was a little bit late to get there. A lovely ball swung in away from Crépeau. He can't get there. And there it is right at the 6-yard box. Minicio just tries to body him out there, can't do so. And a lovely little scooped header into the bottom hand corner there for a 1-0 lead for Louisville here this afternoon, and not the type of start the Fury were hoping for inside these first 15 minutes.
Well, we talked about the changes at the head coach's role, well, the entire coaching staff, we should say, for Louisville since the 29th of June. George Davis IV, Paulo Del Piccolo, the captain who just scored, and Luke Spencer have been the player coaches for Louisville City FC, as James O'Connor, Daniel Bird, and Tabane Sutu all left to join MLS side Orlando City SC. Since that time, 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw in the 5 games since these 3 players have been resuming the player coach's role. It is Luke Spencer who's patrolling the touchline for Louisville here this afternoon. And of course, the two other player coaches, in George Davis IV and Paulo Del Piccolo, are on the field for Louisville here this afternoon. So a very interesting story in Louisville as their search for a replacement as head coach continues.
Yeah, it's never the never the best of a situation where your entire coaching staff just disappears and you're left hanging the bag. But as you said, from the last few results, certainly the last game, they pulled out that 4-1 win against Charlotte Independence. If you look at the month of June, it wasn't the best of months for them. They played 5 USL games, 4 draws, 1 loss. There were a couple of US Open Cup matches played in between there, but getting back into July now, they've had 2 wins and 2 losses in their last 4 games. So,
and this is a team that started the season unbeaten in their first 6 with 5 wins and a draw. So a good start really paced them ahead in the USL table, as you might well expect from the reigning champions.
Yeah. But it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because, yeah, you've been on that 5 out of 6 win, but that just alerts everyone to your coaching staff that they're obviously doing something right. And fair play to them to get that opportunity to step up a level and move on to MLS. It's always nice to see whether you're a player. We forget a lot of times the coaching side of it, Graham. You know, these coaches are putting in massive amount of hours, massive amount of time away from their families to try and better themselves, and that's exactly obviously what's happened to the previous coaching staff here.
Good run here through the middle, stripped away by Adakora, who finds Portilla. As Brian Ownby once again with another strong run for the visitors here this afternoon. Fouled in the midfield was Kevin Oliveira. Ottawa will reset here. Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportamerica.com and receive free shipping on orders over $50. Should note that Hartford Athletic, the USL, welcoming its newest member on Wednesday. Hartford Athletic, the sixth club set to join the league for the 2019 season. For more information on the newest member of the United Soccer League, visit hartfordathletic.com.
I don't think I've seen or heard of a league expanding and growing as much as the USL has in these last 4 or 5 years, Graham. And obviously it just indicates how strong the sport of football or soccer is becoming in North America. When you have this many teams wanting to get a piece of the action, it's tremendous.
Well, and not just expanding within USL Division 2 as we are right now, but with the launch of Division 3 that will begin next year, as Ownby counters here for Louisville. Gets it out wide as he's knocked down by Minicio. Louisville still pressuring here. Eddie Edward strips his man of the ball, and that one will roll out for a goal kick. Good defending by the Ottawa native in Eddie Edward.
Yeah, you've got to be fairly strong to get beyond the large body that is Eddie Edward. He just gets between you and the ball, and you have absolutely no chance of getting on the end of it.
Bassi and Oliveira both go up for the header, rather make that to Santos. Now it's Obasi, plays it forward for Haber. Daniel Haber down the left side, delivers this one in right into the waiting arms of Greg Ratchetsing at the top of the 6, and he quickly throws that out as Louisville look to counter.
Yeah, the unfortunate part was there that Dos Santos was involved in the header, Graham, and couldn't get into the 18-yard box quick enough when Haber knocked that ball back into the box. So nice little break off the header. Haber's ball into the box, a little bit too close to the goalkeeper. There really was only one target for him to aim for anywhere. Dos Santos, as we said, a little bit late in getting to the party.
19th minute, 1-0. Louisville City leading on a 13th minute goal by Paulo Del Piccolo after he converted the Oscar Jimenez corner.
And the unfortunate part is the Fury have been so good this year at defending on set plays, Graham, and free kicks from wide positions. They haven't given up an awful lot of goals inside there when a corner kick or a free kick's been given, and I'm sure there will be a bit of an inquest at half-time as to why that wasn't dealt with properly. It's not as if he rose 4 or 5 feet up into the air, Graham. The boy actually had to stoop down on the 6-yard box to get that ball deflected into the back of the net. So not the best of coverage by the Fury. Get back on the horse. Can you tie this back up before halftime?
Haber to Obasi off the throw. Tries to find an option here, is forced all the way back inside his own half. Maxime Crépeau well out of the goal to collect this one. Sergio Minicio to Obasi. Let's head down to pitch side and join Tyler McDonald with an update. Tyler?
Thank you very much, Graham. And very quiet down here at the sideline with some few instructions coming from Luke Spencer, head coach of Louisville City FC, mostly to his midfield to keep the tight marking and trying to adjust positionally as well against this Ottawa Fury FC team. Head coach Nikola Popovic, very quiet right now in terms of after the goal. Not too much going on the Fury sideline as of late. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Tyler. And, you know, Gord, I've noticed this in the last few games, especially in that second leg Wednesday night in Toronto, as the teams are starting to get, I think, the book on Kevin Oliveira insofar as they know he's the guy to try and take it out of the game, close out of the game, man mark out of the game, because he is that engine in the Ottawa midfield. And that's nothing against Dixon and Portilla. Dixon has been probably their most consistent player across the course of the season, hard in on the challenges and everything else. But when Oliveira gets that ball, when he gets time and space to run and get the engine going, he can really change Ottawa's attack because of how dynamic a player he is. And I think that's something, to Tyler's point from instructions from Luke Spencer, that's what Louisville will want to contain here this afternoon.
And we did touch off it. You know, he was one of the players to watch for the Ottawa Fury. He does that link-up play so well between Portilla and Dixon, and then the 3 attacking players in front of him. So that has to continue here this afternoon. We saw last weekend, let this finish out. We saw last weekend, Graham, with the first goal and then obviously him scoring the second goal, how important he is from an attacking standpoint to this Ottawa Fury here in 2018.
Tony Taylor in possession down the right side. Only has the Santos in front of him, tries to cut into the middle, is dispossessed, and now Louisville with numbers back the other way. Rasmussen back into the midfield. Swai surveys his options, goes to the right to Kyle Smith. Now Ownby. Stripped away by Ano Obasi, nifty turn there. Obasi tries to cut inside, dispossessed by Smith. Here's an opportunity, but Ilya Ilic, about 3 yards in behind at Nana Atakora. Ilic, the second leading scorer on this team with 5 goals and 3 assists on the year.
Very, very fortunate there, Graham, that Obasi caught in possession. I'll tell you what, it was a lot tighter than it actually looked from live, because it looked like Minicio would hedged back a step or two, and it was very, very tight. Certainly did look to be offside, but initially when the ball arrived, it looked, as you said, a good 3 or 4 yards off. But when that ball was played through, it seemed to be very, very tight off that last replay we just saw.
Louisville City breaking out of their own half. Reminder that we'll hear a break here for Ottawa. Steven DeSantos trying to go inside out, still in possession. Now Tony Taylor. Taylor cutting through. Taylor still going. Oh, just misses at the back post. A great effort from Tony Taylor. A right-footed strike, just missing out the back post as Ottawa produced their best chance of the afternoon here in the 23rd minute.
Yeah, he flashed that ball across to the far post. Unfortunately, just couldn't get a better angle on it, Graham. It looked maybe about a couple of yards wide, right enough, but good work from DeSantos. Second effort to win that ball back, get it to Taylor. Quick feet inside the 18-yard box. Defenders always have to be very, very careful, Graham, that they don't go to ground and take the man. Of course, we all know what happens at that point. No, it's not video assistant review. It is a penalty kick. And most of the time, we've obviously seen Ilic put away a couple of game winners with penalty kicks, as Tyler mentioned off the top of the show. He knows how to put the ball in the back of the net from there. Carl Haworth, who has taken the odd penalty kick for the Fury over his time, he's still out with an injury. We had him interviewed last weekend in the game against Nashville, and he still thinks he's a good 2 or 3 weeks away before he can get back into full action with the Ottawa Fury. So a bit of a loss for them. He was an ever-present through the, let's say, game 3 or 4 all the way through to 12 or 13, and then he got that injury, which unfortunately is him out of the lineup.
Good header won there by Sergio Minicio against the bigger Magnus Rasmussen. Portilla wins this header. DeSantos tries to bring it down, does on the second touch, tries an effort, certainly hit a handball, waved off by Fabrizio Stasula.
I don't think he knew much about that at all, Graham. It could, unless his hands extended out.
Oh,
yeah, well, you know what? That is
clear as day.
That it was extended out, and that obviously, as we've seen countless times over the course of the summer, as well as last year as well, when you put your hand in an unnatural position, and that arm was out there, the ball was goal bound.
It's five feet
Yeah.
from where the official's standing. That's as simple as they come. Minicio clears this one up, brought down by Portilla as they battle for it in the midfield. Steven DeSantos gets a touch, and now studs up challenge.
Well, that could be a card,
from
by the way.
Paco Craig.
Atacora just got to walk away. He cannot get involved. He knows it was a bad challenge, and he caught him with the studs up, but you just got to walk away. This is potentially our first yellow card here of the afternoon, Graham, but DeSantos again battling hard there to win the ball. And as it broke the second time away, well, it doesn't look as if he's pulling a card out here, Graham. Maybe just have a chat with him, but I'd like to see that one again. Here it comes. DeSantos gets it first. He goes to win the second one. I think the two of them both had their feet extended, but certainly the Louisville player did make contact with DeSantos. I can see why there's no yellow card being given for it there. Both feet were up, Graham. There was no contact. You know, here we see it again. That's the first one where Dixon comes to grip, and then here it comes again. Both of them up. DeSantos just happens to nick in there earlier, ahead of big number 5, Craig. And unfortunately for Louisville, they have to now defend the free kick for the Fury.
Portilla just outside the midfield circle. Watch for the runs from Atacora, DeSantos, and Taylor in there. Portilla, his delivery. Skied up, Ranjit Singh out to challenge. He punches that one away over top of Nana Atacora. And a foul called, I think it was against Atacora. I'm not sure how.
Backing in, I think it may have been called. See, Atacora is a little bit. I mean, he's watching the ball the whole time, but he does have his hands up and he does make contact, unfortunately, with the defender in front of, and that's obviously what the referee sees. Good shout by the goalkeeper, good strong punch by the goalkeeper. Doesn't really make any difference. He gets the free kick. It certainly wasn't from that position, that's for sure. It was far closer to the 6-yard box than the 18-yard box, but neither the assistant referee or the head referee have called him back for it.
Ombi. His header looking for Ilya Illich, cleared away by Nana Atacora. Rasmussen. Waiting for something to open up. That took long enough to take that throw. Knocked down by Ombi. Now a chance for Ottawa to clear. And they do through Jamar Dixon. Well inside the Louisville half. 28th minute. Louisville remain ahead 1-0 on that 13th minute opener. Twitter. The USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date with news, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow at USL on Twitter. Jamar Dixon in space down the left. Dixon cuts it back, falls to Taylor. Can't get a strike away, takes a deflection, and now Ottawa has won their first corner of the match as Tolani Taylor's effort at the near post deflected out for a corner.
Well, a perfect example there, Graham, of our key to the game, number 3, attacking numbers. You've got Jamar Dixon getting in there, you've got Oliveira getting in there as well. Unfortunately, Taylor, when he pulls the trigger, it gets deflected wide. That's what we have to see, though, from the midfield players. Get into the box, provide that support for the 3 lads up front.
Oliveira with the delivery and at the near post. Immediately headed away. And this has kind of been Ottawa's setup on their set pieces, just cramming in bodies at the near post, and has been quite troublesome for some teams as You don't see it all that often. This time he goes to the back post. Taylor goes up for the header. I think he was the last one to touch it, and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, that massive bodies, as you said. I was surprised that he did. The first one was into that danger area where you've got 4 red and black shirts there. You decide to go to the back post where you're really 1v2 and a goalkeeper, Graham. The numbers were against you, but as you mentioned, that ploy has been somewhat successful for the Fury in the past. We saw a goal scored late for the Ottawa Fury in a very early game. I think it was against North Carolina. I believe it was Portilla that put the ball into the back of the net off a corner when there was a whole mass of bodies in the front post area.
Steven Dos Santos in possession. Played back to Eddie Edward. Edward down that right side. Stopped up by Omby, and now a chance for Louisville to come the other way. Ilya Illich fouled from behind by Portilla. Watch highlights from every game of the 2018 season and stay up to date with news from across the USL at the league's official Facebook page. Visit facebook.com/USL Soccer.
Louisville City, Graham, coming in here not only as the number 4th ranked team in the Eastern Conference, they're also with the 4th best goal difference here in the Eastern Conference, plus 9, 29 goals for, 20 against. The Ottawa Fury down with -4. It's been getting better, obviously, over the last 4 or 5 games, Graham. But that start of the season when they gave up 4 goals to Charlotte, 5 games to Tampa, and then 3 to Cincinnati, all within their first 5 games, just really put them behind the 8 ball as far as goal difference counts. But 20 goals for, 24 against. They're sitting in 8th spot in the Eastern Conference in points with 27.
So much parity in that USL Eastern Conference. A couple of wins and you could be a side that's, you know, top 3, top 4, a couple of losses, and you could find yourself on the outside of the picture looking in by 2 or 3 positions. So,
well, you're so right. I mean, a couple of wins, you start thinking, oh, maybe we can catch Cincinnati here. You know, although they are quite well out in front with regards to a 9-point lead.
No, but let's be honest. You look at, you know, those 3 other teams outside of Cincinnati. You've got Pittsburgh, Charleston, Pittsburgh, and Louisville in there, all within arm's length. You get on a decent run, and when you've got 4 of your next 5 coming up here at home, that's why I think the importance needs to be stressed for them to secure points here during this homestand, because that latter part of the season, when you see, I think it's 6 of their last 8 or 9 games coming away from TD Place, certainly a lot of work to be done. I think there's 5 straight on the road, August through towards the end of September. And they're not easy opponents, necessarily easy, which will also include a return match against Louisville City on the 22nd of September. Yeah,
and of course that September 26th game is the makeup game against Toronto FC 2 that had to be postponed on March 31st when the game was not able to be played. I think it had something to do with the CONCACAF Champions League, and they were worried about the grass being a little bit chopped up with the weather that they've been getting down in Toronto. So a game possibly that maybe in the start of the season might have been able to right the ship a little bit, Graham. If you're able to get a win in your second game, that may have changed the entire shape of that first 4 or 5 games for you.
Oliveira gets it over to Dixon, back to Oliveira. His pass to Taylor intercepted, and a foul called against Tony Taylor. And of course, they will host when they visit Toronto FC 2 on the 6th of September. That's a Thursday night. They come home on the Friday the 7th, where they will host the Montreal Impact.
For the big friendly, yes. Nice to see another MLS team coming in. I don't quite know what level of player we will see there, Graham. I'm not sure if Montreal may have a game themselves that weekend, but it's always nice to have opposition from leagues above you coming in. We think back to that first year we played here at TD Place back in 2015, was it 14?
Some average team out of Scotland, eh?
It was a terrific night, obviously, with Glasgow Rangers coming in here, and it was really nice to, not only get a chance to see them being a Rangers fan, but it was just a lovely evening getting the stadium. We'd opened up the stadium against the Cosmos a few days before, and that was an unfortunate loss, but just a wonderful couple of games, the Cosmos and Rangers, to be bringing in here and letting your fans see what a wonderful stadium and wonderful facility you have here to play a game of football and to host, world-class events. We've seen the World Cup in here, the Women's World Cup, Graham. Different things that are going on that coming into TD Place on a regular basis. So it's nice to see a facility like this not only just being.
Oh, great ball through to Brian Ownby, forces Crapo off his line to head that one away as Ownby, a well-timed run to stay onside.
That's a terrific read there, wasn't it? Because the back four had they just stood still, Graham, and let him run in behind. Crapo, a terrific work as a goalkeeper / sweeper coming out, getting that headed away.
Yeah, back to your point, that was July 23rd, 2014, when Ottawa hosted Glasgow Rangers here at TD Place. 3 days earlier, on the 20th, was their first ever match here against the New York Cosmos in front of still a Fury record crowd of 14,000 plus.
It was amazing. It really was. It was a wonderful afternoon.
Let's head down pitch side and join Tyler McDonald. Tyler?
Thank you very much, Graham. And as you reminisce over the past seasons, I remember that was the first football match I ever saw New York Cosmos against Ottawa Fury FC here at TD Place. Coach Nikola Popovich, some notes coming toward his side, looking for more of a press from his top three to work against Louisville FC, cause those turnovers. We've seen Jamar Dixon be very good in anticipating and getting those interceptions for Fury FC, so look for a little bit more aggressive Fury squad in a lot of parts of this first half and into the second. Back to you guys.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah, we've seen this from the Fury in an awful lot of their games, Graham. They just like to come back into their own half. They don't press as much as I'm sure Popovich would want them to. Hebert's got to get up, Taylor's got to get up. A lot of times we see Dos Santos. Dos Santos is actually in behind Oliveira at times. And while we like to see Oliveira getting forward into an attacking position, you'd really like your big lad to be up there and in between the two stoppers, splitting them and making their job difficult.
Oliveira with a chance here to run through the midfield. He's dispossessed as two white shirts come together to take it away, and he looks to win it back. A hard challenge from Kevin Oliveira. He'll get a warning from Fabrizio Stasula.
Yeah, Oliveira just, it was quite late on that one, so I would say possibly the referee with an opportunity to go to the book. He decided not to. I'm sure it is Oliveira's last warning, though, with regards to anything further than that. You're possibly going to find your way in the book.
Especially when he technically just fouled their coach.
That's true. Eh? Now, if he was to foul the referee, that would be a certain yellow card.
Delivered into the penalty area, falls loose at the back post. Oh, he couldn't get a touch on it.
Somebody did, though. Somebody got a touch. The referee, well, I'm not quite sure. Oh, it's offside. I thought the referee initially was signalling for a corner kick and it came off a defender at the back post, but it was offside, yeah. We see the flag there at the very top of the picture, just going up right away. It looks like it's Craig there that was becoming active, and unfortunately for Louisville, even if it had ended up in the back of the net, wouldn't have counted.
Obasi draws in George Davis, the fourth, and plays it all the way back to Maxime Crapo. 39th minute here at TD Place, 1-0, Louisville City FC leading on that goal in the 13th minute from their captain, Paulo Del Piccolo, also one of their three-player coaches. Jamar Dixon. Now Kevin Oliveira has some room to run. Obasi on the left. Cuts onto his left, puts on the brakes. Obasi now back to Oliveira. Oliveira delivers this one and going up for the header. That one just over the head of Tony Taylor into the waiting arms of Greg Ratchetsing.
But again, there's that final ball, Graham, into the box. We saw Dixon earlier on with a decent one. Oliveira, a lovely little ball chipped in there. Unfortunately, Taylor couldn't get on the end of it. The Fury win the ball. Back and attack the other way.
Good challenge there from Jamar Dixon to win the ball, but Ilya Ilic went down and remains down. And Obasi knocks it into touch as they look to tend to Illich. And you could hear Portilla just completely incensed that after a great win by Minicio that Ottawa just wanted to slow play it and not attack almost immediately.
Well, Minicio just stepped in front of Illich there, and looks like he may have come through behind into his left, well, maybe left Achilles tendon, but it didn't look to be anything untoward there from Minicio at all. Obviously the referee didn't see anything, allowed play to continue, and the Fury obviously decided to knock the play into touch when whistle went.
Voting is now open for the 2018 Fans' Choice Mid-Season Awards as you get to decide which players have stood out from the pack so far this season. Cast your votes in the 5 award categories at uslsoccer.com.
Well, we look like to be getting back to action very, very shortly. The referee, I'm not quite sure if the ball had gone into touch, Graham, before the referee blew his whistle or not. Illich just waiting to come back onto the field of play. It will be a drop ball, but Louisville City will just knock the ball all the way. Well, Oliveira decided to take himself a bit. You don't see that very often. Usually it's knocked all the way back to the goalkeeper, but Oliveira was having none of it. We're going to start our play 50 yards up the field.
Adacora sends that one down the right side. Dos Santos now in possession for Ottawa. Marked closely. Gets towards the corner flag, tries to knock it out for a corner, but has won Ottawa a throw-in near the corner flag.
Well, you talked about some of the substitutes earlier on. When you look at the bigger picture, some of the pace that the Fury do have on the bench, number 24, Jimmy Sanon, number 30, Adonai Jarid, possibly later into this match, 35 minutes in. Sorry, 65 minutes in, we may see these lads getting brought on to really give a change of pace up front for the Fury, Graham.
Ball comes all the way back out into the Ottawa half. Minicio now in possession. Plays it across the top of the 18 for Maxime Crepeau. Haber on the left side with his arms up just to highlight how open he is. Dixon heads that one down. Headed back through the midfield. Portilla wins that header. As two players collide there. This time it's knocked down by Eddie Edward. Jamar Dixon to give chase. That one cleared into touch just inside the Ottawa half for a throw as we tick over into the 43rd minute here at TD Place with Louisville remaining in front by a 1-0 score.
And I think a lot of times when you look at the Fury breaking into the attack in third, Graham, when the ball's on the ground, it's becoming a lot more successful than when a ball tends to get knocked up to Dos Santos or Taylor to possibly try and win it. We really haven't seen Haber much involved at all down the left-hand side for the Ottawa Fury. He's really been out on his own here, not getting the service. And of course, as a striker, you maybe have to say, right, I'm going to go do this myself. You drop a little bit deeper, you push into the middle of the park to try and get your feet on the ball. But just unfortunate for him. We saw last week he was very, very active and lively in that first 45 minutes against Nashville. It's been a fairly quiet 45 minutes for him here this afternoon.
Hearing that we will have 2 minutes of extra time at the end of this half when we hit the 45-minute mark. Dos Santos with a good flick on to Tony Taylor. Taylor tries it on the first time. That volley skied high and wide of the goal.
Yeah, it just sat up nicely for him, but I think he was a fair distance out to beat goalkeeper Ranjit Singh from that distance.
Want to get the key talking points from across the USL every week? Tune into The Hat-Trick with Kelsey Steele on Monday evenings at the USL's Instagram account to stay in the know on what's going on around the league. Obasi, his throw finds Kevin Oliveira. Nifty backheel to Haber. Haber can't hit it cleanly. It's cleared back out to the midfield. Eddie Edward has jumped up into the fray. To Taylor. Taylor still going. Oh, slices it in nicely, but that one out of the reach of Haber and cleared away by Paco Craig. Minicio to Obasi. Nana Adacora through the middle to Jamar Dixon. Turns off his men, now to Portilla. Portilla sprays it to the left side for Obasi. Obasi forced to cut back, now cuts into the middle to get past Kyle Smith. Obasi still going. Kevin Oliveira. Oliveira switches it over, looking for DeSantos. Can't win that header against Paco Craig. Brought down by Taylor.
Corner kick.
And that one will go out for a corner as Taylor was blocked after getting a good first touch. Couldn't get a second.
A nice little ball chipped into DeSantos at the back. It's cleared away. Taylor gets there first. Unfortunately, the second attempt, Craig just gets his body between Taylor and the goal. He couldn't get the shot away. Fury will have the corner.
This time it'll be a left-footed in-swinger from Christian Portilla into the near post. After it's knocked down, Ombi clears it away. Ombi, oh, a nasty foul on Eddie Edwards. That was way late. It was waved off by the official. And Eddie Edwards is incensed that no call came of that. Louisville still in possession. Rasmussen gets beyond the foul, or the challenge rather, from Portilla. And now Minicio will sky this one into touch for a Louisville throw here in stoppage time.
Eddie Edward had to make sure he got touched there, Graham, because if not, Louisville was off to the races. And when he did get that final touch, defender ran into him. I really don't think there was any malicious intent, Graham, to take Edward out or to injure him, but just two players coming together, and the referee decided, I'm just going to let that one go. And unfortunately for the Fury, no free kick was forthcoming.
Bassi will just see that one out for a goal kick. Should be the last play of this opening half. Intercepted in the middle momentarily by Dixon, finds Obasi. And there's the whistle to draw to close the opening 45 minutes. And let's head down to the field level and hear Bianca with head coach Nikola Popovic, brought to you by Ross Video.
Hey coach, so after an early goal by the opponent, the momentum seems to have shifted in our favor. How does Fury keep this up going forward?
Yes, I think we have just to take our chances. We already produced enough to score 1 or 2 goals. However, we weren't able to score the goal, but I think if we continue playing like this, we have to put our chances, the corners, the free kicks, and the shots at goal, we have to put inside the net.
Amazing. So ultimately, what would you say the team's focus is moving into the second half?
We have to focus on our performance. We are playing well. I think they didn't produce enough to score a goal, but in a set play, they were able to score a goal. And we have to do the same. We have to make our chances, and we're going to have them. And when we have them, we have to put the goal inside the net.
There we go. Thank you so much, Coach.
And thanks very much, Bianca. And Gordy, opening 45 minutes, I think overall pretty tame from both sides, if not just that one defensive lapse in terms of marking on that corner from Jimenez. And Del Piccolo puts the goal away, and that's why Louisville find themselves in front. But to Nikola Popovic's point, certainly the opportunity's there. Again, they just have to find that quality of finish.
I think just a little bit of sharpness, a little bit of quickness in the 18-yard box. You've got to think a little bit, half step ahead. You want that extra touch in the box, and unfortunately it's come back against you here so far in the first 45 minutes. Some good things I'm sure he can build on at the halftime talk, but has to be an inquiry into that goal as to how you conceded it off a set play from the 6-yard box. Not good defensive marking at all.
All right, time for a break. Coming up, it's our halftime show. Gordy, you'll stick around and chat with me, right?
I will.
All right, good. Stats, highlights, and more coming up after this. 1-0 Louisville City leading Ottawa Fury FC at the half. This is Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
Did you know the Brick is 100% proudly Canadian? We employ over 5,000 Canadians, and nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. Saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
Hey, Impreza. What's new?
Well, I've got this available reverse automatic braking feature.
Oh.
When I reverse, I can automatically brake if I'm about to hit something.
All I do is beep.
Subaru
Beep.
Impreza.
Beep. Ouch.
Gabriel Pizza, proud supporter of local sports. Gabriel Pizza, home of the bigger, better pizza. 310-7777 or GabrielPizza.com.
Section enjoying here at halftime as Louisville City FC leads Ottawa Fury FC 1-0 at the break. And we'll take a look now as Fury FC look to come back in this game. They'll be needing Kevin Oliveira, and you'll have to take a look out for him in our next little segment here because he's up for a Goal of the Week nomination here in Week 19. Let's check out some of the goals.
Knock, I think if Cam could really take things to the next level. Isley finding Iwasa with a strike, and it's number 10 on the year. What do you know, Kevin Goldthwait, as Iwasa now has an incredible strike and the game's first goal.
Minutes, but going down to 10 was just a bit too far.
Fury going forward again. Here's a left-footed drive, and what a shot that is to make it 2-0 Ottawa Fury FC. A left-footed strike. High Foster. In for Herrera. Has some time and space. Lets it fly. That is sensational from Herrera. He's got 10 on the season now. He's one behind. It's Schreiber, and it's 1-0 Richmond.
Great finish from Mohan Schreiber. He's done it again from a similar spot.
Well, if you're an Ottawa Fury FC fan watching this broadcast, maybe give Kevin Oliveira a little bit of a vote to try and help him win a Goal of the Week this week. And of course, everyone in Ottawa will be cheering for him to try and see how well he does. Of course, nominate and vote online at uslsoccer.com. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, it'll be Gord and Graham at the half. This is Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
It's Schreiber, and it's 1-0 Richmond.
That didn't come off very well. This ball headed in. Important save by McIntosh.
Fury going forward again. Here's a left-footed drive, and what a shot.
Sliding across in front, header is down and it's kicked away. Herrera, 2 great saves. Oh my gosh, 3.
In for Herrera, has some time and space, lets it fly. That is sensational from Herrera.
Lots of traffic in there. Gets lost. Oh, how about Mizell? Wow.
And we'll take the shot, and Ferrigno, an important parry with his right hand.
Ramos Godoy cutting onto his right and strikes, and it goes in.
Go with the right foot, and he's stopped.
Isley finding Iwasa with a strike, and it's number 10 on the year. save again.
And it will be Salgado to strike, and he puts it in the back of the net.
Brian Obi working on Vines. Obi, it's off the crossbar.
Moreno with the shot, and he beats McGuire. Guillen, first time, Becker down low, and Goita down low as well with the save.
Trent sends some service in, taking off the chest by Gregg, who strikes and scores! In on goal, Callie Brown off of his line, Frater denied by Brown.
Shot from distance, Tambakis with the pull, with the save.
Welcome back inside TD Place at our halftime. Louisville City leading Ottawa Fury FC by a 1-0 score. And Gord, before we got to today, we've talked earlier in the broadcast about how kind of busy a period of games it's been for Ottawa Fury FC. Of course, in the States, you've got the U.S. Open Cup. Here in Canada, we have the Canadian Championship. And for a third straight season, Ottawa advancing to the semifinal round against MLS opposition. And for a second straight year, taking on Toronto FC. Well, that competition, at least for Ottawa, came to an end Wednesday night at BMO Field in Toronto. 3-0 loss to TFC, despite a very valiant effort, especially in the early goings of that match. And I think really just kind of running out of gas in the last 15 minutes. They do lose 4-0 on aggregate, but we'll have a look at kind of how those two legs kind of came together, starting with the first leg here in Ottawa. A 1-0 loss, conceding very early. Jonathan Osorio scoring in the 5th minute of that match. And this goal, as we see right here, this was unfortunately the difference of the game, despite Ottawa having a wave of pressure, especially in the latter going.
Yeah, I think that first goal upset the Fury a little bit with regards to how they were going to come out and see the rest of the match. Certainly, you know, they tried to drive forward and get that all-important tying goal, but just wasn't to be. And they headed back down to Toronto, down 1-0. But I think over the course of the first leg, you know, they gave as good as they got. You know, let's be honest, Graham, when you're going up against a team in a tier higher than you, the expectation is much as we saw with Blainville against Ottawa. That was the best chance of the match, I think, for the Ottawa Fury. And of course, the unfortunate incident where that young man was very, very lucky that he didn't possibly suffer serious damage. But my goodness, I mean, just terrible scenes all around that you just obviously want to not to happen.
Yeah, well, that was absolute silliness, and unfortunately, that was really the incident that I think marred the excitement of that night, because the attendance here, the atmosphere here at TD Place was absolutely electric. And then, of course, going down to Toronto FC on Wednesday night, where they did fall 3-0 to lose 3-0 on aggregate. But I think overall, they have to be pleased with their performance. When you look at a Toronto FC side and you look at the depth of that squad, my goodness, the depth that they have, even just on the bench, is quite remarkable.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think the unfortunate part for the Fury is it's now 2 years in a row they've come up against Toronto. We know what Toronto did in the CONCACAF Champions League this year, mere minutes away from possibly winning the entire thing. So it was always going to be a really big ask to have the Fury go down there, down 1-0, get a result. But I'm sure the experience they picked up from the two legs in front of big crowds in both stadiums will stand them well here in the run-up to the end of the USL season. And
when you look at some of the young talent that Ottawa Fury FC have in their squad, the likes of, you know, maybe even a Thomas Meyer-Giguère, who gets some big game experience, and I know this is 3 years running now that they've gone out in the semifinal round because of a loss really in that second leg, the away leg. A learning experience that you hope you put into next year, and we don't even really know what this tournament is going to look like next year with the addition of the Canadian Premier League side. So lots to be determined in terms of how this tournament will shape up next year, but certainly a tip of the hat to Ottawa Fury FC for doing the nation's capital proud in their performance in this tournament. Time for a break here. Our halftime show continues. Stats, highlights, and more when we return. This is Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
Hey, Impreza. What's new?
Well, I've got this available reverse automatic braking feature.
Oh.
When I reverse, I can automatically brake if I'm about to hit something.
All I do is beep.
Subaru Impreza.
Beep. Ouch.
What do you live for? Is it for your crew?
I'll never say the goal.
Welcome back as we have a look at some of the first half highlights brought to you by Labatt, and we see a couple of lots of deliveries from Ottawa, Gord, including that one from Haber, and most dangerous effort, I think, there from Tony Taylor.
Yeah, I think that was the best effort for the Fury. Just a very, very tight angle to get it into that left post. And here's a nice break by Jamar Dixon. We talked about getting bodies forward. There's Taylor getting the final touch on it. Haber's there. Dos Santos is there. Oliveira was coming in as well. Just took a deflection off a defender just inside the 6-yard box, and then a deep corner kick into the back post area. Just couldn't connect on target. But, you know, I thought over the course of the 90 minutes it was a fairly tight 90 minutes, Graham. Just that one goal where, unfortunately, defensive lapse inside the 6-yard box on a set play off a corner kick. Coach could not be happy with that marking at all inside that box.
So you have a look at possession, 59% favoring the visitors through the opening 45 minutes, but Ottawa outshooting them 7-1, but it is just 1-1 in terms of shots on target. So they're getting the ball into the penalty area, and you know what, really, I think if anyone is kind of marked to score for Ottawa right now, it's Tony Taylor.
Yeah,
He's been the guy who puts himself about in creating the best opportunities for Ottawa, really now kind of 3, maybe even 4 or 5 games running if you go back even into the Canadian Championship matches where he scored his first goal in Fury colors in that opening leg against Blainville, and really ever since that game, this guy has just had a different way about him. That he seems faster, he seems more composed, he's obviously more threatening.
Just elevated his game, hasn't he?
Yeah,
and I think the one thing we saw from some of those highlights, and we've seen in the last few games, when he does get the separation from a defender, he's able to break away very quickly. And I think that's one of the things to his advantage. He does get that yard or two away from the defender. And we've got to see a little bit more of that here in the second half. And above all else, let's put this goalkeeper under a little bit more pressure on the deck. But most of the balls we've seen have been, you know, crosses into the box. He's been able to get fairly comfortable with them, Graham, get them punched away. I'd like to see him called into action, maybe to make a stop, maybe to make a stop on a shot. The one that went past the post from Taylor, he didn't even have to make the save. So second half all to play here for the Fury. Can they keep this winning streak going? A modest winning streak of 2 wins in a row, looking to make it 3 this afternoon.
Nana Nakora wins the header, but Louisville remain in possession. No changes to either side at halftime. This one delivered in. This will miss the penalty area, but stay in play. Brian Ownby whips this one in, headed away by Christian Portilla. And a hard foul. Steven Dos Santos colliding with his man, can't get a number just yet.
I mean, yeah, and the referee's having a word with him, and I will be surprised if he happens to get into the book, because it's the same sort of scenario as 1 or 2 occasions we saw in the first half. The ball comes over a player's head, and as he's watching the ball all the way, the player does come in and nick it off in front of him. There's no intent, there's no malice in the tackle that's made. Certainly, you know, Dos Santos, I mean, Dos Santos isn't even looking at the player as that ball drops down from the sky. And unfortunately for the Louisville player, he does come out.
Yeah, it was Alexi Swahi who went down, and you could hear him screaming. But honestly, I think it was more the way he landed that might have caused the pain, just kind of his knee buckling under him. This one delivered into the penalty area, falls loose, and it's 2-0 here in the 47th minute. And this time it's Paco Craig.
Well, again, another set play, Graham, getting put into the 18-yard box and not being dealt with at all. And that's, really has given the Fury an awful lot to chew over here in this second half. A nice little ball whipped in. Crepeau can't come to it. How did he get wide open like that in behind that back four? Somebody somewhere has to be picking him up. Well, Obasi and Atakora are the two players closest. I don't know if, Atakora seems to turn to Obasi as if to say, that was your man, you've got to pick him up. But unfortunately for the Fury, within 2 minutes of the second half, they've conceded now down to 2-0, and a real uphill climb here so far. Remaining 20 goals Louisville have conceded over the course of their 18.5 games so far this season, so less than a goal a game average. If you put that into today's game, possibly a 2-1 loss for the Ottawa Fury is what we may be looking at here this afternoon. But disastrous covering off a set plays, it has to be said, Graham. The first goal especially, how you can scoop down and get a header from the 6-yard box, really made it difficult for you. You get in at half time, you had a chat, you thought, okay, let's be a little bit tighter here in the second half, and you come out and the first set play you give up, completely switch off. And the players, he didn't even have to take it first time, he literally trapped the ball, got his head up to see where the goalkeeper was, and side-footed it into the bottom hand corner. Poor goal all round for the Ottawa Fury. Has to be a little bit tighter on those set plays.
Second goal of the season from Paco Craig. And foul down towards the corner flag will win Louisville City a free kick early here in the second half. Jimenez drawing the assist on that goal, his second of the game and now fourth assist of the season. This one headed away, falls to the top of the 18, and that one misses a few feet to the left of Maxime Crepeau.
Yeah, not an awful lot of danger there for the Fury goalkeeper, but again, just a corner kick. It was a decent header to the edge of the 18-yard box that the second ball was picked up by Louisville, knocked back for the shot and driven wide of Crepeau's left-hand post. But a real shock to the system here in the second half. I'm sure the Ottawa Fury thought they would come out, just sort of maintain how that last 15-20 minutes went. And a complete shocker here to start the second half with another free kick goal conceded.
Bassi tries to chest it down, bit heavy, and it bounces into touch for a Louisville throw inside the Fury half. Portilla heads that one forward. DeSantos tries to bring it down for Oliveira, who was streaking down the left side. Knocked out for an Ottawa throw.
Well, 50 minutes gone, Graham, you're down 2-0. You just wonder how long coach is going to wait before he puts in Reid, probably puts in Jimison on. Change things a little bit up in the attacking third for the Ottawa Fury, because, you go down 2-0. At 1-0, you were still always in there with a shout. Now at 2-0, Louisville can just sit a little bit deeper, Graham, and just hit on the counter-attack.
Stay on side here. Rasmussen has Ownby. Ownby tries to go left, and a good challenge there by Atakora to knock that one out for a Louisville corner, with Illich in space at the back post.
Well, that second goal's really given a lift to Louisville, hasn't it? An extra spring in their step here inside these first 5 or 6 minutes. They're just completely taking the game to the Fury now. And as we said, on the counter-attack, I think that's going to be the MO for the rest of the match here this afternoon for Louisville.
Headed away by Portilla, but Louisville will still be in possession here. Knocked out by DeSantos. Swahi will leave that. Looking for the longer throw now from George Davis, the fourth. We'll move it around inside the Ottawa half. Chested down to Ownby. Jimenez. Piccolo, the captain. Now Ownby. Knocked down nicely by Portilla. Tries to slow things down for Ottawa to regroup. Plays it back to Crapo. Skies this one. That one off the mark, almost hitting the fourth official's table.
Well, you can certainly see why a team like Louisville are up there in the top four. We've seen teams like Cincinnati come in here. We've seen teams in the top end of the table come in. Pittsburgh obviously coming in, and they were able to see out a 1-0 win. Teams like that just know how to win these important games on the road, Graham. And you have a situation that looked very, very tight and compact at the back. Midfield are working very hard. And when they get the ball into the attacking third, they get their head up, and every single time there looks like there's an option available for them. And I think that's the difference between the top teams that are separating themselves. When they get into the attacking third, the crispness, the sharpness is there, and they're putting the ball in the back of the net. I think that's the one major difference that we're seeing here from these top teams that are coming in to a TD Place to take on the Fury.
Set piece coming up now for Ottawa from quite a distance out. Christian Portilla from in front of his own bench curls this one in. That one misses everyone, goes up in the air. Rajitsingh battling the sun, has to stay on his goal line. Able to be cleared out. Portilla back in possession for Ottawa. Finds Kevin Oliveira. Oliveira looks to beat his man for pace. He's wrestled to the ground by Darren Williams. And that will be another set piece for Ottawa here, to the left of Greg Rajitsingh, who is going to have some work to do in this second half. Not just battling the Fury, but battling the sun. You could see him with some difficulty on that last play.
It is a time of day where it makes it tough for the goalkeeper at that far end.
Portilla's delivery. That one goes off a header of a Louisville defender. Might have been Rasmussen.
Yeah, I think it was, you're right, yeah.
Go out for an Ottawa corner. Their first of this second half and third of the match. Rather make that fourth of the match. They had 3 in the first half. Oliveira delivers this one in over the arms of Rajitsingh. Ottawa couldn't convert, but still in possession. Taylor, his drive, knocked down. Taylor tries to win it back here. He's brought down, and that will be knocked out for yet another Ottawa corner, this time on the opposite side, which will mean Christian Portilla will take this opportunity for the Fury.
I think Rajitsingh just got enough on that to take it off the head of DeSantos coming in behind him. Unfortunately for the Fury, nobody at the back post to keep it alive.
All in at the near post. This one delivered right there. And it will be headed up and out for a corner on the opposite side.
Yeah, Portilla's had enough. He's like, I'm not running all the way across there to take this one. Oliveira will go across to that far side to take it.
Adonijah Reed is kitted out and set to come into this match at the next break in play. Likely to replace Haber. Ownby heads that one away, falls to Portilla. Now to Minicio, who hits one from distance. That one well off the mark and out for a goal kick.
Well, we did expect Reed to be coming in at some point a little bit early here at 56 minutes, but based on the fact the score lines you're down 2, you've got to have a little bit of magic and a little bit of something special, and unfortunately for Haber, it's just not been his afternoon. A good game last week, just couldn't really get his legs stretched this afternoon and get in behind this back 4 of Louisville, but Reed will certainly bring a little bit different level of trickery, a little bit different level possibly of pace as well down that left hand side.
Ownby gets the ball in space, well inside the Ottawa half. Eddie Edward back to track. Sent into the back post. Brought down. There's a shot and another one. It's 3-0. Well, it's all falling apart now for Fury FC. And it's Darren Williams, his first goal of the season. And Nikola Popovic looks baffled on the Ottawa sideline. 3-0 now in the 57th minute.
Well, there was just an awful lot of just ball watching there as that first ball dropped into the 18-yard box. From this header, nobody seems to want to go and make it their own. It comes off of Manicio and all the way to Williams, and that's a really nice finish. A decent strike into the bottom hand corner to make it 3-0. And well, 57 minutes. This game certainly has gone to the dogs for the Ottawa Fury, that's for sure.
Well, Bassey's going to go into the books here as he picks up a yellow card for that last challenge.
There's a lot of heads down now for the Ottawa Fury, unfortunately, Graham. They've just got to try and pick their heads back up. Let's see what we can do in these final 33, 34 minutes, but it just hasn't been a really good defensive performance here this afternoon so far for the Fury, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do see another couple of substitutes coming in. In all honesty, it's a substitute down 3-0 with 29 minutes left to go. Do you really want to be coming in and possibly making things worse here this afternoon? Yes, you're a professional footballer, Graham, but it is warm, it is humid out there. It's warm and humid up here, but it must be a heck of a lot warmer out there. But hands on the hips for the Ottawa Fury, heads down. They just can't fathom what exactly has happened here this afternoon. If Louisville are able to, and I wouldn't say miraculously hang on here, they would now stretch that lead over Ottawa to 8 points. Charlotte at 27, they're playing Tampa Bay 25, Penn FC 25, Bethlehem 24, and North Carolina 23. All those teams within earshot of the Ottawa Fury and Ottawa Fury and Charlotte, tied for 27 points in 8 spots. So as it looks right now, a bit of a crushing defeat for the Ottawa Fury at home. We'd looked at this as possibly a game that might bring certainly a point, Graham, maybe 3 if things had went their way. It's always tougher playing teams higher up against you in the standings, home or away. As we mentioned earlier, these teams know how to win. These teams, and we talked about one of the keys to the game was staying focused in all thirds of the park. And I have to be perfectly honest, in the defensive third, they've let themselves down this afternoon. The focus just has not been there at all.
And let's be honest, that has been probably their best area of play throughout the course of this season. After they kind of righted the ship after, kind of the first, 3-4 games where things weren't working out for them defensively, they found their rhythm. And hey, in low-scoring games, that's their bread and butter. They are very confident. They're very composed back there, but it could get even worse as Ownby now steals it away, puts on the brakes, whips it over to the far side. Switch back over for Ownby, hits it on the volley. Couldn't get much on it, but no problem there for Maxime Crépeau, who quickly rolls it out for Kevin Oliveira. Oliveira sends that one down the line in behind Tony Taylor. Can he get a touch to keep it in play? He does. Taylor cuts in onto his left. Taylor still going to Oliveira, first touch, and he hits that one far too heavy and whips it out at the far post.
Yeah, good counter attack there, Oliveira. Good lead ball for Taylor to chase after, get on the end of it, but when the ball gets knocked back to Oliveira, his cross is just a little bit too heavy, a little bit wayward, and unfortunate for the Fury. It's a goal kick, but we did talk about Louisville being able to put the ball in the back of the net 10 times in the last 4 games. Well, guess what? It's now 13 times in the last 5 games. We did say they can't be getting pulled out of position. That's exactly what has happened on at least 2 of the 3 goals. And if you include the first goal, which was, you weren't even in position, Graham, off the corner kick, then the keys to the game that we looked at for the Ottawa Fury, all 3 of them have let themselves down here this afternoon.
Coming off a win last Saturday, 4-1 over the Charlotte Independents. Obasi down the left side. Trying to find some support here, tries to cut inside, he's dispossessed. And now an opportunity for Louisville to regroup inside their own half. Ranjit Singh forced to the top of his own box to keep play going. Paco Craig now to Oscar Jimenez. Those two converged on that second Louisville goal, the one that came 2 minutes into this second half. Williams, who made it 3-0 in possession, plays it over to Swally. Now it finds its way back to Craig. Ownby, nifty first touch to Jimenez. Down the line to Ownby. Ownby tries to play that one into the back post, but no one was making the run. No one read what Ownby wanted out of that play.
Louisville, Graham, have just completely strolled the second half. I mean, you know what, we're 20, almost coming up on 20 minutes in, and they're passing the ball around with aplomb. There's no pressure being put on them. They're just finding all sorts of space and time in the middle of the park. And as we said, Ownby a couple of times has just decided to go on a little bit of a mazy run down the left-hand side, and Eddie Edwards had to charge back after him. But I think what we're seeing right now is a very spent Ottawa Fury lineup here, Graham, that just possibly needs, I would say, maybe even the rest of the week off and get them back Friday morning for a Friday night game, because they need the rest, they need the relaxation, and they've just got to try and get their energy back, because it has been, in the second half especially, a very, very tame performance.
The good news is no travel. The hard thing that they've been facing when you have the volume of games that they've had in their schedule of late is that you don't really even get much practice time either, right? When you get that little bit of downtime, you probably need the day after the match, and if you're in, it's more just recovery. It's not, you know, you're not kind of doing what you would want to do like you do early in the season in terms of training. You've had some new players come in here like Haber, Gagnon Lapare. You've had guys returning from injury like Steven DeSantos. So you also need that volume of training, but you also need the rest as well.
And I think, and even when you look at training, you know, you've got physical training and you've got just sort of a walkthrough training. Well, you can do a nice easy walkthrough on your set plays, and unfortunately it looks like Steven DeSantos is coming off for the Ottawa Fury. That was his final action of the game this afternoon, number 24 for the Ottawa Fury, Jimmy Sanon. So now you have a very, very pacey lineup for the Ottawa Fury in the attacking third, but down 3-0, Graham. Is it too little too late for the Ottawa Fury?
Let's head down pitch side and join Tyler McDonald. Tyler?
Thank you very much, Graham. And just on the Ottawa Fury sideline, not too much going on. A lot of confused faces trying to figure out what exactly has happened in this second half. As far on the Louisville City side, Coach Luke Spencer trying to preach to his team to keep playing here and don't settle back. Make sure you play their game and continue using this for future games as well. So they can make sure they keep a lead, and I'm sure they want to keep this clean sheet as well. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Tyler. And yeah, I'm sure he does. Listen, you talked about it early about the goal difference that they had. They were +9, 29, 420 against coming into this match. Well, they're 32, 420 against. So I'm sure if they can, you know, even pad that statistic greater, they would certainly love to, because you don't know at what point in the season that could well be a factor, especially when you're in that hunt to have home field advantage for the opening round at the very least.
And you know you're going to face a time of the season when goals will dry up for you. We've seen it with the Ottawa Fury, a couple of games here and there where they're getting the chances, they're just not been able to put the ball in the back of the net. But when you're a team now that's and as we said, let's look at the last little while. They've now scored, as we said, 13 goals in 5 games. You're averaging just under 3 goals a game. That's a terrific return. And when you look at Coach Spencer, Coach Davis IV, and Del Piccolo, they must be thinking this is an absolute doddle of a job here, because we've come in here, and I think if above us offside, I think above all else they've just let the team play. They've not tried to overanalyze it. They've not tried to be overly critical. You just go out there, lads, play the game that you're expected to play when you're in the starting 11, and good things will happen. And that's exactly what's been going on for Louisville.
Well, it looks as though Chris Manila will be the third and final sub of the game, and we're hearing that it will be Kevin Oliveira that he will replace. So that's a method of getting some body, some rest. No doubt in my mind.
For sure. When you look at Dos Santos, and and he's been involved an awful lot lately, and he plays that position, Graham, where it's a physical battle a lot of times against the two big stoppers that you're playing down the middle of the park. You don't get an awful lot of support, you don't get an awful lot of help alongside you. You get it from behind with Oliveira. But when you're battling and you're getting bruised about, you're getting bashed about, it's a very, very physical game, and unfortunately, that's just what Dos Santos has been all alone here, certainly this afternoon.
Jimmy Sano tries to go inside out on his men, knocked away, falls to the feet of Jamar Dixon, now to Eddie Edward. Jimmy Sano. Forced back to Christian Portilla. Whips it over to the far side to Onwell Bassi. Played back now Oliveira. Tony Taylor. Just can't find a pathway through this wall of white, as Louisville can easily just sit back on the top of their own 18-yard box to defend here.
Yeah, there was 7 white shirts there, Graham, when Abassi was trying to get the ball across, even earlier on when Portilla was trying to play it with a lovely diagonal ball. There's just so many white shirts and bodies in that danger area for the Fury. They can't get past them.
Good work from Eddie Edward, but lost that support line and forced back out wide to Sano. Portilla. Sano again. Gets round his man. The pacey Sano. And that one will go out for a goal kick. And the third and final sub of the match for Ottawa will take place here in the 69th minute, with Kevin Oliveira coming out in place of Chris Manila.
Again, the work rate that we're seeing there, I mean, just as that ball came down the right-hand side for the Ottawa Fury, Jimenez working extremely hard, Paco Craig working extremely hard as well, just not allowing the Ottawa Fury to get in behind them. And when we saw again a minute or so ago those 7 white shirts, teams at the top know how to see out games, Graham. I think that's one of the things. We saw Pittsburgh coming in here, and the coach referred to it, I believe, in his post-game comments. They come in here, they know how to defend. They know how to defend a lead. They know how to see out games. Well, a team like Louisville are doing exactly that here this afternoon as well. They're getting bodies back. They're still working hard. I think that's the one thing that impresses me over and over and over again when these top teams come in, Graham. The work rate on a regular basis is terrific. It really makes a huge difference. And when you have a situation where you're not working them as hard as you possibly should, they're going to outmuscle you all the time.
Well, we talked earlier in the broadcast about this run of matches coming up at home, with 4 of their next 5, including today. Next Friday, the 3rd, they're home against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. The following Friday, the 10th, they're away to Nashville. And then they return home for a pair in the span of a few days, with Richmond Kickers coming in on a Wednesday night match on the 15th of August. And then Indy 11 in on the following Saturday, the 18th. That's a 2 p.m. start, before they then begin 5, 6 of their next 7 away from home. So these next 3 coming up after today, and yes, we still have 20 minutes remaining here, but the incline of that hill is mighty steep for them to come back here this afternoon. And something that we'll also have a bit more analysis on coming up following today's match on our Facebook Live post-match show. We'll hear from head coach Nikola Popovic following the match, as we have the first substitute of the afternoon for Louisville, as their top scorer Cameron Lancaster set to come into this match in place of Ilya Ilic, the Serbian. We talked about Lancaster on a couple of occasions in this broadcast thus far. Leads this team with 9 goals this season.
Yes, not bad, but you can take off the player you are and bringing on your top goal scorer fresh off the bench, and you're just out of one difficulty into another. Obviously, he's a lad that knows the road to goal, and He may get some opportunities here as a few of these Ottawa Fury players start to tire in this wilting heat here this afternoon.
Manila sprays that one forward. Hard to get to there for Tony Taylor. Ranjit Singh now in possession. Sounds it down to the right. Brought down momentarily by Portilla. Dixon in there as well, but now it's Minicio coming across to do the rest of the job. Reed now battles for it back in the midfield, but still in possession. Our Louisville played all the way back to Greg Ranjit Singh in the Louisville goal. Jimenez has that one go up and over his head as he almost crashes into the Ottawa bench. Out for a throw. 73rd minute here at TD Place. 3-0, the visitors leading on goals in the first half from Paulo Del Piccolo in the 13th minute. Jimenez drawing the assist. Then in the 47th minute, 2 minutes into this second half, Paco Craig, his second. Jimenez also drawing the assist there. And 10 minutes after that, Darren Williams, his first goal of the season, has us at the 3-0 scoreline we're facing right now.
Well, this 3-0 scoreline you mentioned, Graham, will match, if it stays this, the 3-0 scoreline they lost to Cincinnati. The Fury lost to Cincinnati earlier on in the season, where for 60 minutes of the game against Cincinnati, it was a really fairly tight contest, and then all of a sudden we had that wonder goal scored by Kenny Walker, and things just deteriorated from there for the Fury. But oh my goodness, you know, there does look to be quite a few tired legs out there, Graham, and I think not only physically, I think emotionally and mentally as well. You're just, some of them have just checked out a little bit, and that's entirely, you know, plausible when you look at a scenario with a number of games that you have played over the course of the season, and up to this point, R&R, as you said, is what's really needed to finish off this year.
Yeah, R&R, and you know what, Gord, perhaps you know, even a bit of a time of some self-reflection, because last weekend you have let's go back 2 weekends ago. You get that big come-from-behind win against Penn FC. You claim that 2-1 victory late in that one, and then, you know, 2 fantastic goals here last Saturday against Nashville in stoppage time gives you that 2-0 victory over Nashville that thwarts you into a playoff position. Yes, there's some tough runs in there. You know, that Nashville game had Toronto at home and then Toronto away on either side. Now you come back here. No question, you've got tired legs. You've been running with a pretty similar starting 11. I think 9 of these 11 guys have been playing a majority of the game these last 2 months. Today's the first time we've seen a couple of more changes with Minicio starting in there. There's an opportunity, just missed at the back post, as Lancaster couldn't get the right boot on it as it went right through the sixth, and he was about a second behind on his timing.
Yeah, it was a decent run down the channel there, but no, you're exactly right, Graham. And I think a few of us maybe expected that there would have been more than just one change to the starting lineup here this afternoon. As you mentioned, Meir Jaguar was given a rest, we believe. I'm not quite sure. I don't believe he's got an injury, so he's been given some time off. But everyone else that was in the starting lineup is pretty much the way it's been for the last 4 or 5 games for the Ottawa Fury, certainly with Hebert coming in. So yeah, maybe you just need to look at it and say, okay, you know what, you've given Adonijah Reid a bit of a rest over the last 3 or 4 games. You've dropped him to the bench to try and conserve some of his energy in an 18-year-old body, and it's tough when you're playing. You know, you're playing against guys that have been playing professional football for 10, 12, in some cases 15 years, Graham. And it is a real physical toll for a youngster to be trying to maintain over the course of a 32, 34 game season when you start adding in Canadian Championships. So hopefully we'll see Adonijah back at his best very, very shortly. But I think some of these other lads just need to be, you know, given a little bit of a rest, and hopefully this week with the full week off, that is going to happen. Give them a couple of days off and not worry so much about getting them in. If you are getting them in, just get them in for walkthroughs, you know, go over your set plays, because you certainly have to worry about set plays now the way you dealt with them here this afternoon.
Ownby back to Craig. Now Jimenez tried to send that forward to Rasmussen, didn't get enough on it, easily read by Adekora. Eddie Edwards sends this one forward, headed away from Tony Taylor. Manila in battling for it for Ottawa against Paco Craig, and Manila wins it. Gets it over to Reed. Reed gets a touch, tries to cut inside. Reed still going. Foul called there, and
there's no need for any of this afters either. I mean, the referee had things well in control, and he's going to give, I think, one of the Louisville players a yellow card for.
Oh, there's a red
card,
no question.
He
Well,
must have said something, Graham, because I don't even think he was.
Swally you can't put the hands around a player's throat, and that's what he did with Adonijah Reed.
I didn't even see that. Yeah, and Jimenez just asking, what are you doing, mate? We've got this thing well in control.
There is no need for it. There's no need for that whatsoever.
You know, it could have been made worse when the player's lying on the ground, and I'm not saying that he wasn't injured, Graham, but when he starts slamming the turf like that, obviously his teammates think it's a really bad tackle, and I think he probably thought it was a lot worse than maybe it was. The lad's back up on his feet now. He's not still down. He didn't get. I mean, he tries to go between the two of them at this point.
Well, you know what? There wasn't anything there. Del Piccolo went down. If anything, he hurt himself, and then you see Reed come past him, and hands to the throat. It's a straight red every time, and that's a silly decision when you have a 3-0 lead. You're home and dry.
Madness.
And you know, I'm talking from a Louisville perspective here. Don't give the other team any window to get back into this one, and you well could have done it here with a silly play like that.
It really was, and I'm sure if Coach Spencer has a look at that, he's just going to pull him aside after, or maybe later on tonight, and just say, look, son, what were you doing? What was your thought process when that happened? Yes, you may have thought he was injured. I honestly didn't see anything really bad there. It looked as if somebody made the motion that there was a stamp with the foot.
Now Ranjit Singh gets the yellow card for now. Here's the thing. Reed goes back to Del Piccolo, and you know he stands over him and he says something to him, knowing full well that there was no contact there.
Yeah.
So was it necessary? Probably not. But that certainly gives no justification to what Swahi did there.
No,
and it just wasn't needed.
It was just silliness. And when you get to the later stages of the year, Graham, was, you know, yeah, it's 3-0, but if it's 2-0 and if it's 1-0, all you do is you hand teams incentives to possibly peg you back a little bit. At 3-0, it may be a little bit too far gone for the Fury, even against 10 men.
And Sean Tosh now comes into the game for Darren Williams. Tosh a defender, so that will help shore things up defensively for Louisville with Swahi out.
Well, you think back to last weekend, Graham, when Nashville went down to 10 men after having played all the substitutes and then having a player pull up with a hamstring injury, then had a player sent off, so they finished the match with 9 players. Ottawa Fury were able to score 1 goal between 10 and 9 and another goal between or after 9, but before all that happened, there was a penalty kick missed by Nashville in the early 80 minutes or so that everybody thought, well, this is it. You know, they're going to get this goal, and another good performance by the Fury goes to the wayside. But who knows, stranger things have happened, but 10 minutes left to go playing against 10 men. It's still a really, really big uphill climb for the Ottawa Fury.
Jamar Dixon comes across and shoulders Del Piccolo off the ball, and it goes into touch for an Ottawa throw here. Now the 81st minute at TD Place. Louisville continuing to hang on to their 3-0 lead. It was 1-0 at the half, and then 2 goals inside the opening 12 minutes have paced the visitors to that 3-goal advantage. Adakora now to Eddie Edward. Sprays that one forward, looking for Taylor. And he goes up against Paco Craig, who remains down. Taylor holding his forehead. And Ranjit Singh trying to talk with Fabrizio Stasula.
He's had a busy second half, the referee, hasn't he? I mean, you know, first half was fairly tame. I think he was just trying to keep a lid on a lot of things, but the second half, some incidents have just boiled over, and unfortunately for the referees had an awful lot of decisions to make. Again, Taylor more or less just, oh, that was a bad landing though for,
that right
for
knee,
Craig.
yeah. Ugly.
Yeah, and Taylor, well, we're being told Taylor is bleeding.
Well, let's head down to the touchline and get an update from Tyler McDonald. Tyler?
Yeah, it looked like there a clash of teeth or nose here for Tony, just getting some work on. Yeah, no, it's his nose that is bleeding on his jersey there. So why he was sent off and getting some quick repairs before he joins the action. Nikola Popovic as well, trying to push his team up the field now and take advantage of Louisville being down 1. At least help the goal differential in this game and try and wreck the clean sheet for Louisville as well. So I would expect a big press here coming, a big push for Fury FC. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Tyler. Paco Craig plays it across for Sean Tosh. Kind of dropped now into that center back role since coming on for Darren Williams after Alexi Swahi was sent off.
Jeez. Taylor's got to get a card here for that. You know, I think it was maybe a little bit of a payback for what just happened there, and Craig was more than happy just to take the body and go to ground. And you know, he's an experienced lad. He knows how to play the game, and his team well in control. Just going to take a few extra seconds here, get my breath back, and get back up on his feet.
Fourth yellow card of the season now for Tony Taylor. Work to be done to catch up to the team leader, Eddie Edward, who has 7 so far this year.
Has he been suspended yet for any games this year? I can't. What game was it he missed? Was it a road game? I don't recall him missing a home game.
You're going to make me do work.
Yes, I am. Craig's been solid back there this afternoon, though, for Louisville.
Believe it was the game in Cincinnati.
Okay. And he must be getting close to a second one, isn't it every 3 or every 5? I don't know what the USL suspension rule is with yellow cards, but
let's not put it out to the universe.
I know
Gordon.
it's every 3. In a lot of other leagues, you pick up 3 yellow cards, and then it's another 3 that accumulate, and so on and so on. But you certainly want to make sure you have all your top players out there fit and ready to go. And there we go. So 5 in a row, or 8 total. So he must be, as we said, one short of. Well, there you go.
Tony Taylor, now to Chris Manila. Plays it wide to Obasi. Obasi on the left side, tucks it back in for Manila. Manila sends this one into the back post, looking for Jimmy Sano. He gets it headed towards goal, but easily collected by Ranjit Singh.
Yeah, there was nobody coming across to help him out there. Adonijah Reid had taken up a spot inside the 18-yard box, but it was always going to be tough for Jimmy to get enough power on that header. A good ball delivered to the back post area. He started going away from the ball. It really wasn't going to find a black shirt anytime soon, Graham, inside that 18-yard box. So we're inside the final 5 minutes of the 90. Ottawa Fury down 3-0, and unfortunately it looks like the modest 2-game win streak is going to come to an end here this afternoon at TD Place. A fairly quiet crowd, that has to be said, here in the second half. I think the minute that second goal went in, 2 minutes in to the second half, Graham, it just really took the crowd out of the match altogether.
Well, we might be hitting 90 minutes on good time, because there is a dark burst of clouds heading our way, which will certainly see the crowd disperse here. But just having a look at the USL table now, certainly lots of games to get to tonight. But with the win today, at least for the moment, that would put Louisville into second spot, level on points with Charleston Battery, but have played 1 fewer contests.
And they'll also have a far better goal difference as well. They're now sitting at plus 12 as opposed to Charleston with 9. So 2 on 35, goal difference 12-9. So they're in second place pretty much with 10 wins all on their own, Graham. So,
and for the time being, Ottawa will hold down their 8th and final playoff spot. They'll be 3 points back of 7th place Nashville, 4 back of the New York Red Bulls, 2, as well as Indy 11, who occupy 5th and 6th respectively. And the Pittsburgh Riverhounds now dropping to 4th with 34 points, 7 points clear of Ottawa, and have played 2 fewer games.
And I think the worst thing, and you brought it earlier on, Graham, about the parity in the USL. Oh, good move, Jimmy. Unlucky.
We're going to head down to the sidelines and join, I'm told, our resident meteorologist, Tyler McDonald. Tyler?
Thanks, Graham. Special weather advisory in effect for the Ottawa region. Possible funnel clouds coming in, and what looks like to be a pea-sized hail as well this afternoon. So they're getting this game in just in perfect time. Of course, funnel clouds could produce tornadoes, so make sure you're safe on your ride home, guys.
All right, grab Toto and head home there, Tyler.
I think the closest Tyler is going to come to a resident meteorologist is get caught in the rain once. that's pretty much it. He's got about much knowledge of the weather as I do, and I'm stuck about 150 feet up in the air here.
You're from Scotland. You were born in weather.
That's true. That's a good point.
Another substitution coming up here for Louisville City.
But you talked about the parity, Graham, and that was the note we're trying to get to before we went down to Tyler. When you have a situation with six or seven teams, 21 coming in, Sean Francis, number 10, Ownby going out, but when you look at the standings right now, Ottawa with 27 points. You've got Nashville, New York, Indy 11, Louisville, Pittsburgh, Charleston. You've got all those teams ahead of you. It's what's coming behind you, though, Graham, that has to be the concern. Charlotte at 27, Tampa at 25, Penn at 25. I mean, with a win today, Tampa Bay can jump up above the Ottawa Fury. I don't know what Charlotte's schedule is like here this afternoon. Just have to try to take a quick look at the USL games.
And that, my friend, also highlights the importance of the game coming up on Friday here at TD Place against the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
And Charlotte and Penn play each other here tonight, 7:30 in Charlotte. So
and the Rowdies home to New York Red Bulls too.
And either of those teams win, they will jump up above the Ottawa Fury in the standings.
Sano stays on side, but he can't get a touch. Well defended by Paco Craig as Greg Ranjitsingh smothers that loose ball. Hearing will have 5 minutes, a minimum of 5 minutes of extra time.
Well, we have had a fair number of substitutions, so they will probably be at least 2.5, 3 minutes right there alone. And then a few stoppages we did have for injuries and red cards and what have you. So 5 minutes seems to be fairly spot on with the time being added on here this afternoon.
Eddie Edward knocks that one down to Jamar Dixon. Sends that one forward looking for Reed. Bit too shallow for Reed to get to that one. Rasmussen well back into his own half. Paco Craig's effort was blocked by Manila as the two number 5s collide there. Eddie Edward in for Nana Atakora. So we see the fourth official, Pierre-Luc Lausière, showing us the 5 minutes of additional time we'll see here. Tony Taylor. Taylor cuts into the middle. Taylor still going. Taylor with an effort. A good save by Ranjitsingh on that powerful blast from Tony Taylor as he was allowed to cut right into the middle of the park.
It was a terrific strike there, wasn't it? You knew there was one thing on his mind, Graham, when he got into the 18-yard box.
Obasi on the left side, trying to get beyond his man. Obasi still going. Obasi into the penalty area, his effort. That one cleared away by Sean Tosh. Thrown into Obasi. Back to Reed. Reed cuts inside his man. Reed still going, runs into a sea of white shirts. Cleared away, but falls to Christian Portilla. Portilla onto his left. Heavy touch there from Taylor, forced back to Dixon. Now Portilla to Manila. Chris Manila tries to cut to the middle to Sano. Still in control. Jimmy Sano. Can he get it onto his right? Tried to cut inside. It's knocked away. And Louisville will just clear it into touch for another Ottawa throw. Manila. Portilla. Portilla sends this one in. That one too high for Nana Adakor to get to, and Ranjitsingh down just to suffocate that ball. Played 2 minutes of the 3 minutes, or sorry, of the 5 minutes allotted, I should say. 3 minutes remain. Minicio first under it for Ottawa to Dixon. Portilla with Rasmussen chasing, finds Manila. Turns off the pressure nicely there. Sends that one forward, but couldn't get it beyond Jimenez. Lancaster in space. Good save. It falls loose, and now Lancaster hanging on to it. I think he thought he was playing goal for a second.
It was a
Good
terrific
save by
terrific read by Crepeau. You're right, Graham, on that first one, because he realised, he anticipated that ball getting put through to Lancaster, and he was on him in a flash. And as the second ball broke, it was almost like a rugby tackle, wasn't it?
Rasmussen steals it away. As Louisville still look for more here. Lancaster well offside. I don't know. He throws his arms up as if he wanted the ball, but he was an easily 3 yards in behind Ottawa's back line. But another 90 seconds remaining in this one as we're 3.5 into the 5 minutes of allotted stoppage time. Jamar Dixon. Now Tony Taylor. Tries to juke past his man. Taylor still going. Into Christian Portilla. Now Minicio. Wide to Obasi. Chris Manila. Christian Portilla. Now Eddie Edward. Edward wide for Sanon. Jimmy Sanon can't get past Sean Francis. And now Crepeau all the way up to midfield to keep things alive. Gets it to Portilla. He whips this one in. Ranjitsingh comes well out to get there. And now he comes well off his goal and just skies it out to the midfield.
I think he was trying to chip the goalkeeper. An 85-yard
Now
bomb.
that would be the highlight of the night if you can do that from there.
Highlight of the year.
Push on the back end's Adakora, but the ball will fall to Eddie Edward. Delivers that one back in. Headed away by Paco Craig. Now Portilla to Sanon. And there's the whistle to conclude the match here this afternoon at TD Place. Certainly not, I'm sure, Gord, how either team saw this one going.
No.
A massive 3 points won by Louisville City here this afternoon. And perhaps just a bit of fatigue for Ottawa showing here, and an opportunity for them to regroup this week.
I think that's exactly what we saw. It was a tired effort. It was a tame effort by the Ottawa Fury. First half wasn't too bad, but second half just came out very, very flat, and unfortunately conceded 2 early goals, and 3-0 was the final.
3-0 the final. Louisville City over Ottawa Fury FC. We'll be back to wrap things up just after this. You're listening to Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
Gabriel Pizza, proud supporter of local sports. Gabriel Pizza, home of the bigger, better pizza. 310-7777 or GabrielPizza.com.
Did you know the Brick is 100% proudly Canadian? We employ over 5,000 Canadians, and nobody knows more about furnishing Canadian homes at the guaranteed lowest price than us. Saving you more. It's not just a slogan. Saving you more is our obsession.
What do you live for? Is it for your crew? For overcoming obstacles? Live for what you want. So what do you live for?
Welcome back inside TD Place. 3-0 the final here this afternoon. Louisville City FC over Ottawa Fury FC. Gord, not how you draw it up, not how you like to see it go down, but I think at the end of the day, when you look at the volume of play, everything else that has been going for Ottawa Fury of late, you're bound to have a tough one, and if anything, maybe today's result proves to be a galvanizing force for this team heading into the stretch drive of this USL regular season.
You would hope so. You just put this one in the back pocket, you say, let's move on. We won't even really watch much tape of it at all. We know it was poor, we know it wasn't reflective of what we can do. Let's just put it down to one of those afternoons at the office, and then let's get ready for Tampa Bay next Friday night.
Well, through 45 minutes and even down 1-0, you certainly felt that, hey, there's a way back in this game. And today's man of the match certainly suggested if there was a way back, it was going to come through him. And today's Ottawa Citizen man of the match is Tony Taylor.
Yeah, I thought over the course of the 90 minutes, what little chances were there for the Ottawa Fury, Tony was involved in them. He looked pacey, and as he get that separation, he's able to get away from that first defender. If he gets an opportunity to get in behind him, we saw the power. That nice little run there, he drove that first one across the face of goal. If that goes in, who knows how this game ends up, but just couldn't get it on target. And obviously we saw later on, here at the back post, he just couldn't get enough on there to get it into the back of the net, or even knock it back across the face of goal. And we see another effort. When you look at it, every single good chance did fall to Tony Taylor. And then, of course, we had the drive that he had from about 20 yards out with maybe 5 or 6 minutes left to go, which really stung the palms of the goalkeeper for Louisville City. So, good performance by Tony. I'm sure he'll look at the bigger picture, though, and say we just weren't at the races here this afternoon. And now we've got to, roll our sleeves up, have a good week of practice, and get ready for that big game coming in Tampa Bay next weekend.
Yeah, and they'll need a big game from Tony Taylor when they return home. They're staying at home, and I'm sure they're very happy about that. Friday night, the 3rd of August, 7 o'clock, the kickoff against the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and never any love lost between these two teams. And given what happened to them, second game of the season, they go down to Tampa Bay, and it wasn't a pretty one. It wasn't a 5-0 scoreline, really, in terms of how the performance was, but that's what it was on the score sheet. So that was what happened the last time those two teams met. So, Ottawa's going to have a bee in their bonnet, wanting to rectify that one. That's a much different side. Then 7th of August, they go away to the Tampa Bay Rowdies before away to Atlanta United. That's that makeup game, of course. And then they're away to Nashville before returning home for another set of home games. And that's going to be an important stretch run for Ottawa to start the month of August.
Another 3 games in the space of 7 days. They're just coming fast and furious. Excuse the pun. But the fact of the matter is, other teams are going to have runs like that as well. There's other games all across the USL postponed that you're going to have rescheduled as well. All the Ottawa Fury can do is take care of themselves. Worry about what we do. You have a game against Tampa Bay where if Tampa Bay comes in here and they lose to Penn this evening, they're going to be below the Fury in the standings. Atlanta's below you in the standings. So you've got an opportunity now for your next 2 games to maybe pick up maximum points and again put yourself back up into the mix and getting into those top 8 spots. Top 4, that might be a little bit out of reach now, but keep going. You've just got to keep plodding away, and I think if you get the rest, you get the relaxation, good things are still going to happen here for this Ottawa Fury team.
Gord, always a pleasure. Be sure to go over to the Ottawa Fury FC Facebook page and tune in to our Facebook Live post-match show. We'll hear from Ottawa Fury FC head coach Nikola Popovic, some players, get into stats, highlights, and more. Tune in there. Again, for Gordon Smith, Tyler McDonald, our producer Mike Sutherland, and all of our crew, Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This has been Ottawa Fury FC Soccer.
This copyrighted telecast of United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.